What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the Mythic Legion's Vallak action figure. This is the first Falconer that we've got. They just, I believe, Four Horsemen revealed that there's going to be another Falconer in the next wave, which I would like to get. So I plan on picking him up, but we're talking about Vallak here today, and I saw him and I was like, wow, this is really cool. We're getting our first, companion type character with a figure, and this is really a welcomed thing. I love it when G.I. Joe does it, and I even more welcome it with Mythic Legions. I think it's really cool. I do have a couple gripes with the, I guess the character that he comes with, his Falcon. But I want to say he's on the same body as Bardrick, and it is that newer style body. He does have different pauldrons, obviously, than Bardrick, and he also has this kind of like purple cape shawl looking piece with the also the hooded head. He does come with a cloth cape, which we've seen in the past with Mythic Legions. So it's a decently thicker material. It's not see-through or anything like that. It's not like a Mattel cape or anything like that, which actually some of the Mattel capes with the multiverse figures are really well done. So I shouldn't beat up Mattel like that. But he comes with a quiver. He comes with a longbow, same type of longbow that some of the other larger characters like what was it? Farius comes with, I believe. Comes with the same longbow. I think this one's just gold. That one is black. So it is exactly the same. He also comes with a sword. A sword? A sword. I don't know what a sword is. He comes with this sword and sheath, which I kind of had to maneuver behind his back, but you can remove the sword from the sheath and all of that. I think he's pretty cool. I mean, this is another figure that kind of really sold me. There's a lot of figures actually in this wave that did sell me, and this was another one of them. Bardrick grew on me. This guy really sold me on the wave. Him and Nefarious sold me. I didn't get the entire wave, so unfortunately I won't be able to review everything. I'm going to get the big moose, but I had to get that from Big Bad Toy Store just because at the time I wasn't able to afford the pre-order. So, but he's kind of got like on him, there's like a lot of flat blacks and a lot of like metallic silvers. He's got flat silver too on him as far as the paints go. Obviously white for the face. And then we've got like tooth-colored teeth. Obviously tooth-colored teeth. And then we have some gloss for like the gloves and the pauldrons. That's a really cool thing. I don't mind too much how this is set up. It's a little bit loosey-goosey for me as far as, because his companion is essentially all one piece. It's attached to a gauntlet. I've seen photos where his feet are not attached. He's kind of flying in, but I think that's just photoshopped. But I love his look, and you can have multiple looks with this character. I think that's what makes him kind of unique. Also, he does have unique elements to him, like this kind of newly sculpted purple plasticky looking cape, which flows into the actual cloth cape in the back. That, and obviously the new head with the newer style body, it really does flow nicely. Now, he does differ from Bardrick in the torso, because Bardrick's torso is of this variety, where you can see he's got that kind of like neck armor right here, and it kind of differs here where he's got kind of like buckles going down. So they do differentiate from each other, which is really good. I can appreciate that. The gauntlets are totally different on Vallak as opposed to Bardrick. Just doing little comparisons with them really quick. The lower torso and the belts are exactly the same. The boots and everything are exactly the same. The legs are exactly the same. The arms from the shoulders to the gauntlets are exactly the same, and then when you get to the gauntlets, obviously these are a different sculpt. Even the hands are a different sculpt as well. Oh no, the hands are, I'm sorry, the same, but the gauntlets themselves are different. He's kind of got like buckles and stuff over here, and they kind of fan out more like a pirate would, where he's got armor for his gauntlets. So obviously the pauldrons are different, and a lot of other stuff is different on them. But so both they're not just straight up repaints or anything like that. They are different in certain areas. Go ahead and get his stuff off of him really quick so he doesn't look so filled up here, and we'll get him into more of like a natural pose. I'm going to go ahead and get his companion off of him. There we go. And then you just want to slide that right off of the gauntlet. And that's essentially all one piece. Now, this is kind of the issue that I have with this. It's all one piece, and this companion can't really do anything else, even in photography, other than this, unless you're covering up the feet. So it's kind of, I mean, it's really cool that you get this companion. It's the first one that we've got, but in that same token, he's extremely limited in how you're going to have to pose him. I think it would have been a really cool, neat idea to go with kind of how the same way, an innovative way, the Classifieds line did with Spirit and Freedom, and kind of have pegs in the feet, and then you could put little peg holes maybe on the arm, or maybe just on a pauldron would make perfect sense, because you could sit on the shoulder or you can sit on his arm, instead of doing this whole kind of like, oh, you're stuck with only having him on your forearm. So I think that's the only drawback here. The sculpt of the actual bird looks really good. You've got some beautiful paint shading going throughout these wings, and the Four Horsemen not only know how to sculpt beautiful wings, but also paint them perfectly. It's like I'm holding a miniature bird. That's how well sculpted it is. And then you flip it around to the back, and it's really well done. Light black paint shading going throughout the top, and then it kind of transitions into that beautiful, nice traditional brown. So really good job with the wings. The head sculpt itself looks really good. I like that he's got his little kind of blinder mask on there. That's pretty cool. So he would be at a neutral pose with this blinder mask on. He wouldn't be flying away with the mask on. He would fly with the mask off, so you can see obviously where he's going or what he's doing. I like the little straps kind of hanging down. Very well done with that. The feet are painted very nicely. You can actually see some of the claws onto the black gauntlet, even though they kind of blend in a little bit. But it looks good, and the gauntlet piece does sit decently on the arm. Not the best. It's kind of loose a little bit. You kind of have to really get the hand on there to kind of hold it in. And he does kind of want to do this back and forth flop around a little bit. So that's something to note as far as that goes. Let's pop the hand back in. And I noticed that the hands for this wave are definitely a tighter fitment, which is much better than some of the older waves where they had very loose pegged hands. So that's a welcomed factor as far as that goes. Vallak's face, his face sculpt is kind of hidden in there, but it looks really, really good, man. It is a part of the sculpt of the hood, so you're not going to be able to separate the hood from the head. So that is all one piece. Let me readjust my lighting here so you can really get in there. He does have white eyes that are like a pearlescent white, and they are painted differently. And then we have a white for the face. It almost looks like there's a little bit of pink. Yeah, there's like a little bit of pink paint shading going underneath the eye to kind of give him that like grotesque, undead looking vibe. And then we also have that pink for some of the lips. And obviously the teeth are painted like teeth, as I alluded to earlier. Flipping around to the back, we have some black paint shading going throughout the hood, so it looks a little bit dirtied up, but not too dirty. Like, it doesn't look like he rolled around in crap all day. We have some black paint shading going throughout the shawl piece or the hooded piece. I like this nice little clasp right here. It really does break up the kind of monotony of like the purple going on here. And then I like the, like I said, the gloss black for the gloves and the pauldrons. I think that really stands apart from the rest of the figure and how he looks. I like the little bit of brown for the belt strap going across his pauldron, and same thing on that side. And the little silver clasps and little armor pieces for his, I guess, chest piece. So he's definitely more of an agile character because he has that lighter armor. He doesn't have too much armor. He's just got a little bit of, lighter armor right here. So very similar to how we have here underneath. We have kind of like a crotch covering piece right there. We have some brown painted for the belt, some purple for the the pockets, and then flipping around to the back you can see some more armor pieces, some rivets and stuff like that painted silver. And then we do have, obviously, let me get this sword out of here. We do have the legs, which are painted like more of like a matte black right there. And then we have a little bit of a light gloss for the shin armor, the lower shin armor that's black. And same thing goes for the boots. The boots have a little bit of a shiny feel to them as well, but they still feel kind of leathery, just like Bardrick. I already talked about the cloth cape. It's not. It's a cloth cape. It's a solid cloth cape. If you get it in certain lighting, you can kind of see through it a little bit, but it's well done. As far as how you want to clasp the cape, I've showed it in numerous other videos, especially during Wave 2. I want to say that Wave 2 had the most capes out of any wave. And it was also one of the largest waves. I think it was actually larger than Wave 1. So, but I'll show really quick how to do it. You want to pop the head off. The head comes off with the neck sometimes, so it's not the end of the world. It actually makes things a little bit easier. You can pop this off. It's just a separate piece. You want to pop both the pauldrons off. Now, I did notice with these pauldrons specifically, this was a much more difficult, tighter fitment for the pauldrons. So that is something to note as far as that goes, but I will pull this off just to show you how to do it. You have 2 holes on the back right here, and you want to pinch this inward, not outward. Make sure that that's in. And then you want to take your pauldron. I'm going to set that down for a second. You want to take your pauldron and you want to fish it through, just like so. The first hole and the second hole. You want to make sure both those holes go through, and like I said, make sure that the cape is pointed inward towards the back. And then just take your pauldron and kind of attach it. Now, this is going to take me a minute because these pauldrons, like I said, are a little bit more difficult to get in than the Wave 1 and even Wave 2 pauldrons. It might be just the newness of the mold or the plastic, but it was a little bit more difficult to get it to really peg in. Okay, maybe I loosened it up a little bit, loosened the plastics up, but I did notice that that was a thing to note for the review. And then you just slide this back on, just like so. Kind of have to hold it there for a second, and then the neck, you just peg that back on. It kind of holds everything together, which is a nice little touch. Now, because this is a separate piece, it does jostle around a little bit. If you're really dedicated to this look only for him, you could just glue this to the back section of the pauldrons. And if you're really wanting just these pauldrons on at all times, you can just glue them, like I said, back to the pauldrons and leave this, and it'll just sit perfectly and it won't move around. If you're not worried about it moving around, then just leave it the way it is and don't glue anything. Like I said, the other stuff that he comes with is the longbow. And I did notice that the strings are actually a different color. So this one's more of like a lighter, like almost like a gold, and this one's like a darker string. So, I mean, there's even differences in the strings that they're putting on the bows, that's a really nice touch. I mean, that really does differentiate throughout characters there. Even though it's the same sculpt and bow that we've seen through Wave 2, it's nice to see that little subtle detail difference between them. He does come with the sword that we've seen with Wave 2 and on. Sword and sheath. It's a shorter, I guess a smaller sword, a regular kind of whatever you would call this kind of sword. And I really like the hilt here. Looks very good. Nicely detailed as far as that goes. So nothing too wrong there. And then he does come with his quiver, which is different from Bardrick's as far as the paint goes. The mold, it's exactly the same. The purple metallic for the feathers, and then silver for the arrows that are sculpted in there. They're not removable. We do have a brown leather, and then we have almost like a bluish, it's not purple, it's definitely like a bluish metallic going throughout for the little designs. And like I said, everything can peg on him. It looks really good. We'll get to that in a second. But as far as his articulation does go and range of motion, his head can swivel side to side. You'll obviously get better range of motion with the cape off, this piece off, and the pauldrons off. But this is what you can get with everything on, and I think this is probably the majority of people, not everyone, but the majority of people will probably have him set up this way, is what I would assume. Especially having the uniqueness of this kind of cape piece, sculpted cape piece. But his head can swivel side to side. It can look up about that far. That's a little bit past neutral. That's down as much as you can get right there. No jive. Oh, we got a little turkey. Little jiggle. Arms go up about that far, and that's about it. He can do a decent T-pose, like, okay. Arms go down, full 360 rotation if you take the pauldrons off and the arm, but it can swivel back and forth and up, and you can push the pauldron up. If you push it up too much, it'll pop the pauldron off. But he has a single bend at the elbow, swivel at the elbow, swivel at the gauntlet, swivel at the wrist. And let's see if he has that same vertical hinge joint. Yes, he does. Same vertical hinge joint. Oh, no, he doesn't. He has a lateral hinge joint. Excuse me. So he has lateral hinge joints. So I wonder if... Let me take a look at Bardrick again. Because Bardrick definitely had vertical hinge joints. So maybe his hands are different. They look very, 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 very similar. Yeah, no. I mean, you can get a little bit of a jiggle just out of the ball joint, but he does have lateral hinge joints where he has vertical hinge joints. So maybe that's even more unique about Bardrick, is that he's got those verticals as opposed to the laterals of everyone else. Another thing to point out. He can crunch forward and back with the ball peg joint, tilt side to side, swivel. He can do the splits really well. Same thing as Bardrick, really well for the swivels. Legs can go forward, they can go back. Upper thigh swivel. He does have a single jointed knee, which gets a little bit past 90 degrees, not too much. Same thing as Bardrick. Swivel at the knee as well. He has a pointy toe, pointy heel. He does have ankle pivot. And the ankles can also swivel on their own. So you can swivel, pivot, you can do anything you want. You should be able to get this guy in as far as stances go. You should be able to stand this guy, definitely. Unless he's got loose ankles, you shouldn't have an issue standing him. And like I always say, as far as posing, if you're having issues posing any action figure, work from the ankles up. Think of it like you're building a building. You want to start from the foundation upward. And that's pretty much how to go as far as stances go. Okay, so we've got, as far as size comparisons here, we've got the NECA Defenders of the Earth Phantom figure, and then we've got the SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Black RX. Okay, next up we've got a Mezco Nosferatu on the left, and then on the right we've got what I like to call is Old Dutch, but you know, it is the T-800 from Terminator Dark Fate. All right, next up we've got two Hasbro figures. We've got a Marvel Legend in the Shocker on the left, and then on the right we've got Classified's Duke Okay, next up we've got a DC McFarlane 3 Jokers Red Hood on the right, and then on the left we've got a Articulated Icons Martial Artist. All right, next up we've got a Motu Classic Style Body in Lino on the left, and then on the right we've got a Book of Boba Fett. Okay, so for my final thoughts on Vallak, yeah, man, I can't deny. I'm gonna be, I gotta be as objective as possible here. 2 thumbs up here. It's 2 thumbs up for Vallak. I think he's a really good looking figure. He's on that newer body, so that's going to be tempting for a lot of people. He comes with a freaking companion. I mean, how can you beat that? Comes with a sword, quiver. Comes with a bow too, his longbow. And I mean, how can you say no to this guy? I mean, come on. That's a face everyone can love, you know? And you gotta love companions, even though, you know, it's kind of at the beginning stages of how they're gonna handle companions in the future. But I think he's a top-notch figure, and I like the fact that he's not just a reuse of Bardrick from the same wave. I like the uniqueness of his upper torso. I like the uniqueness of his pauldrons, the cape, the sculpted cape up top as well. The gauntlets are different. And like I said, back to that companion. I think it's a welcomed thing. I always love having animal companions, and especially for what seems to be a tracker, which would be Vallak. He is a vampire tracker, which is unique on its own. So he's got his own classification, and I like that quite a bit. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit more lighter as far as armor goes, but I think that still works in the favor of Vallak, because he's going to be a little bit more maneuverable and probably a little bit quicker on the draw, as opposed to someone with a little bit of bigger, thicker armor. So that's really cool as well. I think he'll fit in right with the rest of your Mythic Legions. Obviously, he is a Mythic Legion on his own. And yeah, I would definitely give him a full recommend. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you guys on the flip side.